Hello, welcome to my video. I didn't want to spam my Instagram stories, so I decided I'm gonna do a little YouTube video to kind of share with you guys what I've been reading the past few months. So my goal this year is to read 12 books, which would mean like a book a month, and so far I've been doing pretty well, I will say. There have been some good books, there have been some not so great books, and there have been some absolute tearjerkers, 5 out of 5s, and I can't wait to share them with you. This video is actually inspired by Steph Bower's video where she shares her January to March reads. So I'm going to show you what I've been reading, what I've picked up, and kind of share with you my opinions and ratings. I'm not going to go into too much detail because please bear in mind I haven't read this many books since literally the Hunger Games, so that's saying a lot. Let's kind of get into it then. The first book I read of the year was this book, Good Vibes, Good Life by Vex King, and it was going viral on TikTok and Instagram, and a lot of like lifestyle, I don't know, content creators were really vouching for this book. So I gave it a read and it was rubbish. It was rubbish. His tone is very arrogant. He has the same kind of energy as Molly Mays. We all have the same 24 hours. It was just not the vibe. Ironically, no, not really for me. I believe I gave it a 3.5 on my Instagram stories, but upon reflection I would like to retract that and give it a 1 because it was just not good. I enjoyed aspects of it where he included his autobiography, but towards the end when he starts discussing affirmations and kind of spiritualism, it just wasn't doing it for me. It got very arrogant, condescending, and very toxic, to be honest. It gave a very like, I am better so listen to me kind of energy, and that's not what we want from a non-fiction book. We want genuine advice. We don't want someone yelling at us for not living the same lifestyle as them. So yeah, a 1.5. Not a great start to the year, but then because I joined a book club with Girl Up, we were recommended this as one of our reads. My camera's done it backwards, but it's 1,000 Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini, and I saw a lot of people reading this, and I'm so glad I read it because it's extremely informative. It made me cry in the end. I learned a lot, especially growing up in the West. I feel like I haven't done my part in learning more about the wars that go on in the East and hearing these women's experiences. And even though these two women are fictional, they are very representative of women in those countries and the impact of war on them. And it was just really eye-opening, and everyone needs to read it at some point. It's a solid 5 out of 5. A quote that stuck with me from this book was, "A man's accusing finger will always find a woman." That stuck with me because it's very true in all, I guess, cultures where there is a patriarchy. Unfortunately, women will always be at the receiving end of some blame, whether or not they're involved or not. And I think Hosseini has a really beautiful way of painting a picture and building the setting and moving the story along in a really brilliant way. It is a dense book, if you can't see, but it's worth the read. And towards the end you find yourself just kind of like trying to read as fast as possible because you want to find out what happens next, and I kind of wish I didn't because I ended up crying. So a fun fact about me now for this next read, I'm an English tutor, an online English tutor, and in one night I read Macbeth. You can see my annotations because a lot of my students are studying Macbeth, so I read Macbeth. Honestly, Shakespeare did his thing. There's not much else I can say. I don't really want to rate it because it's Shakespeare. Don't think it'll be particularly interesting for me to rate a Shakespeare play, but I've really enjoyed Macbeth. Kind of been taken back to GCSEs, and it's a pretty solid story. I don't know what else to say, but I read Macbeth. Following that, I read someone who is now one of my favourite authors, Miss Colleen Hoover, and It Ends With Us. I swear, this book, I didn't cry, but I was pretty damn upset. The ending is not what you expect. And that is what I heard a lot of booktube and TikTok. Everyone was like, it's not what you expect. And I'll admit, when I first read the book and the first few pages, I was very like skeptical, because it, for me, honestly, the writing was just a bit cringy, and it does kind of remain cringy throughout the first half, and then it kind of becomes a little bit more mature. And I also do find issues with using celebrities in books, like real celebrities. If you want to use a celebrity, I always think you should just use someone you've made up who exists within that world, because I don't know, like, cancel culture is real, and the celebrity that Lily writes to, just, she's obviously been on the, you know, she's been amongst the cancel culture drama, so I couldn't I don't know, I feel like it played a part in me not being able to empathize with Lily at some points, but it gets a lot better, especially in her relationships, both Ryle and Atlas. Oh my gosh, I can't, do you know what, it's been so long since I read it. Pretty sure it's Atlas or Arctic. No, that's wrong. But no, I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to read the sequel. I hear it's coming out soon, called It Starts With Us. 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5. Writing was cringy, but it is a really well paced and written book, but it is a little bit cringy. So I was on a romance kick, and you can imagine I was reading these in like February. So then I picked up this. You can see I started to tab here. I quite enjoy tabbing. It's fun, it's cute, but I don't know why I tabbed so many when I didn't really like this book. First of all, that cover, not the vibe. Second of all, it was just cringy. Honestly, it was just cringy, and you can tell that it was a romance written by a man. Yeah, I will say movie over book, because I just didn't enjoy it. I thought the characters were shallow, underdeveloped, and the storyline was poor and not enjoyable, and it was just aggressively average. So 3 out of 5. There were some cute moments and some really sweet quotes, but nothing special, to be honest. The most recent book that I have completed is Miss Rooney, Normal People. This is my new favourite book. You can obviously see where I've tabbed. I loved it. I love the way Rooney writes. It reads like a film, growing with the characters. I learnt so much about them, and I really felt the feelings they were going through, and especially as someone who went to university, and the kind of the uni experiences that they go through, and the complexity of will they, won't they, and this, you know, this new scene of dating where everyone is always constantly stuck in this grey area of just like being in relationships without being in relationships. I think she does a really good way of presenting a very realistic depiction of dating in today's society. I do actually understand why I have seen a few reviews where people say they didn't particularly, not that they hated it, but they just didn't really enjoy it as much because they couldn't relate to it. And I will agree, I think it is very like European or more British Irish, and obviously I'm in the UK, so I can kind of empathize with the characters a bit more because I've been through similar experiences. But I really enjoyed it. I can understand why people may not be able to relate to it, but Rooney is brilliant. I can't wait to read more of her books now. I'm obviously very late to the party, but better late than never. Solid, if I 10,000, no, okay, that's a bit high. A good 5 out of 5. Now just kind of moving on to books that I picked up but haven't finished yet, because I just think I wasn't in the right mindset. So the first book that I started reading but put down was The Love Hypothesis. Can I be so real? Teacher-student romances aren't my favourite for many reasons, and this just, I don't know. I read the first quarter, almost half, third I guess. Didn't love it. it was just very, I don't know, it just didn't feel right. And a lot of people on TikTok were proper hyping it up, and I was really excited to read it, but it just wasn't doing it for me. Maybe I'm missing something, I don't know, but I'll come back to it. So I picked it up, started reading it, put it back down because it just put me in a slump, and we don't stand reading slumps. I also picked up Kim Ji-young, born 1982, and I'm about a quarter through. To be honest, it is a good book. However, I just don't think I'm in the right mindset to be reading it. You know when you just have to be in a certain, I don't know if you're like me, but I'm more of a mood reader, and I will admit that currently I'm in a very romance kind of vibe with books, especially after watching Bridgerton. And although this book is really good, I just don't think I'm ready yet to read it and actually understand it properly. Clara and the Sun, it won a 2021 Booker Prize, and I can understand why people would enjoy it, but I will admit it's not really my cup of tea. I know it's about love, but it's like love but with like AI, not AI, like robots. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'll finish it, but to be honest, I just don't think I'm in the mindset to be reading it. I realise I'm a bit of a lazy reader sometimes. I also recently got this, A Room of One's Own by Virginia Woolf. I started reading it last night and then I fell asleep, but we discussed it in our book club recently, and I really enjoyed the discussion, and I wish I had read it in time for the book club discussion, but I picked it up. I feel like as a person who wants to write a book one day, I should probably read this if I'm going to be joining the many female authors. So yeah, I started reading it. It was alright, but I was just too tired. And this morning, this came through. What we talk about when we talk about love. I actually got this because Steph Bauer has been quoting a lot from it recently on Instagram, and I wanted to give it a read because obviously I'm on this romance love kick. However, when I opened it up and started reading it, it wasn't what I expected. So it's a bunch of short stories, but I do think there are elements of love kind of ingrained throughout this, which I quite enjoy, to be fair. I kind of like applying my thinking to these short stories, if that makes sense. I think because the stories are so short, they're super easy to get through. So especially if you're on a bit of a reading slump, I would probably recommend this book because the stories are so short that it's really easy to read. That's everything I've read so far. It looks like a lot, but a lot of them are books that I've kind of picked up but haven't really finished yet, and hopefully I'll finish them later on. But for now, will say I've had a pretty successful run. Had a few stinkers, but I've had a pretty good kind of kickstart to reading again. So I hope you liked hearing about what I've read and my thoughts on them. Please bear in mind that I am a beginner reader again. Well, not beginner, but I'm just getting back into the habit. And obviously these are all just my opinions. They're not, set in stone. But I hope you liked kind of listening to my thoughts. And if you have any book recommendations, comment them down below. Other than that, thank you so much for watching this video, and have a good rest of the day.